So tonight I'm gonna want to talk to you about how to get over that fear of public speaking. Quick introduction of myself. My name's Fiona. That's me on probably all the social media networks at mobile. So you can follow me, I'll follow you. We can stalk each other on the internet because that's what internet's for. So in my previous career life, I worked as a front-end developer, but now I work at Look Ahead Search as a technical recruiter and help developers find jobs that they really love. So today, yes, I want to talk to you about how you can go over the fear of public speaking, which is something that I had for many years. I also want to tell you why you should be doing it, and also, what are some of the ways that you can go about getting into it. So I love public speaking, says hardly anyone ever, and probably no one ever. Public speaking is a pretty scary thing. You need to be able to stand in front of a crowd, tell them, what you know, and sometimes you may even get judged by it. So it is a pretty daunting experience. And Mark Twain actually once said that there are only two types of speakers in the world, the nervous and liars. Basically what he's trying to say is that most people are afraid of public speaking and they do get nervous by it. And some are, even, more scared of it than death itself. Just to show how legit this fear of public speaking is, there isn't a scientific term for it, which is glossophobia. It means your fear of speaking in front of people. So if there is a scientific term for it, so it must be a legit thing. There's actually 75% of people, according to the internet, in the world that they have glossophobia. So if it's on the internet, it must be true as well. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I got into public speaking. So about 3 years ago, my friend Jared Wiles, he sent me a message one day on the phone and said, hey, someone from Rep Directions organizing this What Do You Know event. They want someone to do a 5-minute talk. They asked me, I didn't want to do it, so I decided to just, put your name forward and they will get in touch with you. So he wasn't even saying like, oh, would you want to do it? He basically just stopped me in. And I kind of thought, yeah, thanks, Jared. But you know what? No one's going to want to ask me to give a talk. Like, what do I know? Like, why would anyone actually want me to give a talk about something? And then about 5 minutes later, Maxine, whom some of you might know, super efficient organizer for Web Directions, she sent me an email and said, hey, Jared dropped you in, would you like to give a talk? And I clearly remember in my head at that moment, I'm just like, oh crap. Like, this is actually happening. My heart was absolutely racing. And that's when that little fear monster inside me just sort of popped up in my shoulder and started giving me all these negative thoughts of why I shouldn't be doing it. It's telling me what if your presentation is wrong? Everyone already knows what you know. Like, what do you know that is valuable to be able to share with the others in the community? What if they actually hate your presentation? Or, you're not even a good presenter, you really shouldn't be doing this. I think a lot of these thoughts are very common to a lot of people who do who do worry about getting into public speaking. So I want to explore them a little more. So the number one reason I hear people say they don't want to do public speaking is that they think everyone already knows what I know. So, what is it valuable that I can add? But the fact is, not everyone knows what you know. I think a lot of times we can overestimate what our audience knows. We assume our audience already knows everything. But the fact is, the audience is often made up of a range of people with different levels of experience and knowledge. I once did a talk about CSS selectors at a Web Directions conference, and I kind of thought, everyone's going to have read about CSS4 selectors already. I was quite surprised by the end of it that actually some people came up and said that they've learned something or that they found my examples to be helpful. So I was quite pleasantly surprised. And the fact is that everyone actually explains things differently. Rather than speaking as an expert, Actually speak from your own personal experience. Talk about the problems that you had when you're trying to solve a particular problem at work. What are the mistakes that you have made along the way? How you actually came about to your solution as well. All these experience makes your talk really unique and different to everyone else's. And also allows your audience to be able to identify with you a lot more as well. And that, they'll see a problem, they'll be like, oh yeah, if I've gone through the same problem, they'll be able to relate to it a lot more. Another thing I always hear from people say is that, I'm not good at public speaking, I shouldn't be doing this. Well, I don't think anyone ever started off as being an expert in public speaking. You see all these amazing speakers on TED where they give incredible talks, and I bet none of them started off as being an amazing speaker. I bet they all became really great in what they do because they've had tons of practice and years of experience as well. One of the TED speakers who gave one of the most popular talks on the website, she said she actually rehearsed her talk 200 times to just for a 15 minutes talk. This just shows that practice is one of the most important things you can do so that you become a much better speaker. So we all need to start from somewhere, and like everything else, practice makes perfect, and we can all become better at it. But first, you just need to be able to just step outside of that comfort zone and give it a good go. Another thing a lot of people tend to think is that they worry the audience is going to hate their presentation and they're going to get some really bad feedback. But I think actually that most people are a very supportive crowd. The reality is, yes, you will have some people who will love your talk, and you may get some people who don't relate to the talk as much, or they don't enjoy it, and that's just how it is. But it's okay. It's okay to have people who think differently to what you think. But most people are supportive, in the audience, and they do want you to do well. So, I bet no one actually goes into a talk and think, I'm really gonna hope that this speaker do terribly, do a terrible talk, and I'm just gonna have a miserable time listening to it. I bet no one ever thinks that. So try to focus on the positives when you do get feedback. But at the same time, try to get constructive feedback from people that you trust as well. Ask for honest feedback from your colleagues or even from the event organizer. If you're worried about your talk, about how you should be structuring it, maybe send a talk outline to the event organizer, to other people in your community that you can get some feedback from. I'm sure they would be more than happy to help you and point you in the right direction. Sometimes we also worry about saying the wrong thing. But a lot of the times, there's actually no right or wrong, and especially in technology, your approach of going about a problem, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's different, and someone else might do it differently, and that is okay. Just try to speak from your experience, and people will be you'll find that people are actually quite receptive to different ideas as well. So now you might be thinking, okay, public speaking, it's still kind of scary. Why should I actually put myself through all this stress? I think public speaking actually helps with many different things. One thing I found it really helps is with the critical thinking part. So from when the time you decide on a talk, you pick a topic, you write a basic structure of your talk, deciding what to actually include in your talk, because often there is a time limit. That all requires you to really think about what is the most important content, what is the most relevant content to your audience. And another thing is that it really improves your communication, because needing to be able to explain something in a succinct and engaging way, and also within a time limit, that requires skills and that requires practice. And I find that especially with technical talks, when you need to actually explain code, in a short 15-20 minutes talk, that requires particular skills, and that's something that I'm still trying to perfect myself. And good communication really just helps with all parts of your life. It's definitely not an easy task, but again, the more you do it, the better you become at it. And one of the biggest benefits that I have found from having done a number of talks is that it really helps to build up your confidence. Being able to talk in front of an audience and sort of exposing yourself to feedback and criticism can take a lot of courage. And in my very scientifically correct graph, the more presentations you do, the more confident you become. It also helps to establish your credibility within the community as well. So it can help to increase your profile amongst your peers. You can be thought of as someone who knows the subject matter as well. And I think by presenting on a subject and needing to really explain it really well, I think that also helps to improve your knowledge of a lot of the areas sometimes. It can also open a lot of new opportunities as well. So you might get invited to write for a publication. You might get invited to travel overseas and give a talk at conferences. So so there can be a lot of exciting opportunities that come across. And also, I have to say, a lot of people, employers especially, they really love seeing people who are involved in the community and giving talks about things that they're passionate about. It's not the only reason why someone would get hired in a job, definitely not the sole reason, but it definitely gives you that extra brownie point that, some of the other people may not have. And also, I find that it's a very rewarding experience. People tend to want to come and speak to speakers after you've given a talk. So it just helps to helps you to network with other more like-minded people and have further discussions about a topic that you're really passionate about. And for me, the best thing that I have found from public speaking is that you be able to share something with someone and they be able to learn something from it, and I find that quite satisfying. So maybe now you're a little bit more convinced of why you should give public speaking a go. But how should you actually go about starting it, getting started in it? Well, the first thing you have to do is to pick a topic. So you can talk about something that you're passionate about, but also try to pick a topic that is actually good for a short talk as well. So anything that's between a 5 to 20 minutes talk is great. For someone who is just starting out to get into public speaking, I would recommend a 5 minutes talk. And it also you don't need to be picking a topic where you're talking about something that is groundbreaking. It can just be a really small topic that is explained really well. And that often makes a really, really great talk. And people often love to hear about people often love to hear about other people's experiences as well. So any kind of case studies you've got at work that you think other people would find interesting, they can be turned into great talks. If you've written blog posts as well, those are blog posts are often a great way to turn them into a talk. So definitely give that a go. So the next thing you want to do is to try to present the talk somewhere. Presenting it at work is a great place because you're already amongst people that you hopefully feel comfortable with, and you can do a practice one with them. Also, presenting at local meetups are great. So obviously CJS is always looking for speakers, right? And it's great to just see fresh faces as well and hear new ideas. So I highly encourage you to have a chat with Sharky tonight, and see if he can maybe help you develop a topic as well. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to give you a hand. a bit of a shameless plug. It is for me. I run a meetup called Sit CSS, and being a meetup organizer makes me realize how hard it is to find speakers. So again, like we're always looking for speakers, and I would say most meetups are very open to the length of talks and topics as well. So so definitely try to reach out to some of the meetup organizers and just express interest, and we'd be more than happy to help you develop a talk. Jet also runs React Sydney as well. They are always looking for speakers too. They've got a GitHub account where you can post up your ideas, and they can give you feedback too. So so make sure you check out React Sydney as well. And so once you've got, you pick your topic, you've got your content, you've picked where you're going to present it, the most important thing you can do is to practice, and I cannot stress that enough. Another reason why short talks to start with is a great idea, because say if you do pick a 10 minutes talk to start with, you can practice that 4 or 5 times in an hour. So it just makes it so much more easier to practice, as well as to come up with the content for a shorter talk. And also, while you can start to practice in front of the mirror, but make sure you actually practice in front of an audience. So try to practice at work, get some friends together, and try to present like you're presenting in a meetup. I think you'll find that it's a very different feeling compared to just practicing in front of a mirror and needing to actually present a talk in front of a small crowd. So how do I feel about public speaking now? I definitely feel more confident after having done it for a little while. Was I scared about giving this talk? Yes, I am a little bit shaking right now too. That fear monster, it's still, at the back of my mind saying like, oh, people are gonna hate your talk and you're gonna be terrible. It is still just lurking in the background, but I think, that fear will never go away. And the best thing you can do is try to channel that fear and channel that nervousness, so that it helps you to become a better speaker. I think public speaking has definitely changed me. It's giving me, it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Being able to meet a lot of really interesting people in the community. It's also given me a lot more confidence about myself, and it's given me enough confidence that I am now able to stand in front of you to present this talk, and to also, needing to run my own meetup and MC every time in front of a crowd. So I find that to be an extremely rewarding experience. So I hope my talk was able to encourage some of you to really give public speaking a go. If you're interested in giving a talk at any of the events that I've mentioned before, make sure you reach out to the organizers. I'm also more than happy to meet up with you for coffee and help you develop on a topic as well if you like some ideas. And I really hope that I'll be able to see some of you stand up here next time to give a talk. Thank you. Q&A? Or
do you want to take a question?
Sure.
Do you have a question?
If there is a question.
Everyone's so inspired. Oh no, we've got. Ian's got a question.
Have you ever turned to drugs in order to?
Well, the downside is that I can't actually drink alcohol as well. Like, I just get really sick. So so I can't take anything to help calm my nerves. I guess when it comes to sort of calming your nerves, what I found to really help is to actually sit quietly in a corner and go through my slides and go through the all my points. And sometimes, chatting with friends as well to get them to distract you helps. But I find that, having a quiet moment often helps me a lot. So no drugs. But whatever works.
Are you like a write everything out in words person, or do you go from an outline and just kind of wing it from there?
Yep. So when I structure a talk, I like to just write out like a point form, just like an intro, what is the main points, like 3-4 points that I want to make, depends on the length of the talk, and then what's the conclusion. And then I sort of like fill in the content in between. But when it comes to the speaker notes, I find it's better for me to actually write out a lot of the words and practice saying it, and then once I feel comfortable, then I'll try to not look at it as much. But that's definitely something I'm still trying to get better at, to not look at my speaker notes and to try to improvise as much as I can. But yeah, I guess, whatever works for everyone. But yeah, that's my approach that I find has helped me.
Can you tell your female to just shut up and get back in his box, because that was an awesome talk.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Chad.
Thank you, Fiona, please, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll have a short break.